Okay, in the previous episode, we covered closely related major chords using the circle of fifths and being able to identify them very quickly. So we're just going to go in a counterclockwise direction and use these closely related major chords. And we're going to show ways that you could actually make it sound less static and robotic. Okay, that's the best way to put it. So if you haven't seen the previous episodes, please watch those first because they all kind of lead up to this episode. We're doing this in a way that's progressive. So let's go ahead and enlarge the circle of fifths here, and we're going to stick we're just going to stick an arrow in the direction we're going to go of closely related major chords. We're just going to use these all in a row. Okay, just right around this circle, straight back to C. Now, in of itself, if I play this going in a counterclockwise direction, if I just kind of play this statically, it sounds very boring. It just sounds like a sequence of chords. Now that's a good exercise to learn harmony of closely related chords, but there's no musicality to it whatsoever. So here's something you could do right away, and we've talked about this before, using motifs and similar moves. This will actually make the sequence sound a little less static. And I wrote out one possibility here, and this particular sequence has probably been done 1,000 times. Now, let's just show the difference between this and the static version. So if let's just go halfway through the static or part of the way. And I'll stop there. Now, what I wrote out here was using first inversion of every other chord is first inversion. So it produces this little pattern. And it sounds way less static. However, it's still kind of boring because you eventually end up at the same spot. And you don't want to continuously repeat these things over and over again. But there's two things that happen here. Is this in the lower end, because I use inversion, and then the upper end and repeats, and you can repeat, but is doing this. So they both, upper end and lower end, have a similar moves. Similar motifs. So, however, you don't want to do this forever. Say that you're a film composer. Where would this come in handy? It'd be ideal to use as a temporary chain and breaking out of it. Let's say you want to be a film composer. Use a little chain like this to modulate, like using similar motifs. Break out. Still using similar motifs. So there's a little lesson there. Using similarity when you're doing through composed stuff is very important, or just modulation in between parts. So let's just create something. Let's do this. Same chords. I'm not trying to do the greatest thing in the world and then we'll break out of it somehow. We'll do it some like this. I'm actually improvising a lot of this in, so broke out. Now, your new part. And I'm just improvising these parts in, so I don't consider myself a great keyboard player because I'm mostly interested in composition, not keyboard playing. I'll leave that up to performers. So that's what happened here. Besides the motif, okay, that happened. So root position, first inversion, kind of the opposite of the sequence below. So sequential modulation. Use motifs and similar moves. Break out of the chains, though. That's very important. But still, even your motifs may be part of your main melody, just little aspects of it. So that's actually very important when you're composing. I don't consider anything I did in here actual composition. It's just kind of generated almost on the spot. So, but actual composition, you take little aspects of your melody, especially when you're doing transitions. It may just be a small aspect, and use that as your little motif transition, similar move to get to your new key, and you're maybe a different theme, or maybe repeating the same theme in a different key. So what to get out of this is like the previous episode where we kind of wandered both ways in the circle of fifths with closely related chords. Now we're just choosing one direction, and showing you how to create some sort of glue, harmonic and melodic glue, using similar motifs and moves, because that helps keep things together and keeps it from sounding like just a bunch of static chord changes. So just keep that in mind when you're creating modulations. And like I said, they may even be smaller aspects of your main melody in your piece. You may just take... That's why it's great to write out your melodies and all that first, because if you could take those and then create smaller aspects of them used for transition and modulating and moving all around, you actually need less material to write something. And this is something maybe film composer people who want to get into that might want to consider, because if you use a bunch of random material, you're actually, even then, you're taking up a lot of writing time. If you could start working with small motifs and clips of that, and clips like that, and similar moves instead, you'll actually master modulation at the same time. You'll actually save yourself a lot of time of coming up with modulations.